All right. So good afternoon, everyone. I'm very pleased to be here and very honored to be here as well. So tonight, or this afternoon, we're going to talk about trustworthy AI. And what does it mean, trustworthy AI? But first, I was told that actually there would be a discussion about the research and development process in the health industry, and to look at the similarities between the pharmaceutical industry and how drugs and medicines are developed and designed. And what came to me first were actually not so much similarities, but actually differences. When you develop and create a new medicine, the safety of the patient comes first. So we could say that there is safety by design, which is not the case for artificial intelligence. The second point is that artificial intelligence is a technology, or a number of technologies actually, that are still very difficult to define. The definition remains very vague, let alone its governance. And as well, it's a technology that we often associate or compare to electricity, in the sense that it's a technology that we will find everywhere, from governments to your pocket. And it's already the case today as well. And yet, very often, when we talk about technology innovation, we have a sense of fatality, as if technology were designed or created by itself, as if technology has its own agency. And of course, it's not the case, and we are technologies made by us, by humans, by people. And so tonight, or this afternoon, for the panel discussion, we're not going to talk so much about what AI will do, because there is a lot already written and said about this. Rather, we're going to ask our questions, or questions around the who. Who is involved in the design of the technology? Who maintains, who deploys AI systems? And why do we ask the question why? We ask the question why because technology is political. Any design of technology, any feature in a technology is the result of decisions which are made by some individuals. It's the result of a distribution of power. And in that context, they're also the result or the expression of a specific worldview, values, and interest. So tonight, on this panel, we have representatives and distinguished speakers from the private sector, government, and civil society. So allow me first to turn to you, Jan. So Jan Borboën from PwC, in charge of cybersecurity, responsible AI.
Yeah.
For you, what is trustworthy AI? What does it look like?
Yeah. So I will be the auditor tonight. So how can you provide trust on AI? And maybe to set the scene, a little is a story. I was at a conference of Dr. Alexandre Laurent. He wrote a book, La guerre des intelligences. And after the conference, I went to him and said, how can we provide trust? How can we audit an AI? It was 4 years ago. And he said, if you can audit an AI, it's not an AI. So then I started the reflection, okay, my job as an auditor will be quite complex in the future. But then the time passed, and I think we understand better the technology now. We understand better the risk as well. And how can you provide trust on AI? I think there is different layers. I think the first layer is certainly the governance around the AI, and certainly regulation will play an important role, as you said. EU is pushing for that, as always. Switzerland is a smart follower, as always, a little bit. So I think that's the first layer that we need to tackle. Then the second layer is also like understanding the risk and covering those risks by different controls. And I think this, like the ecosystem, I think it's extremely important because you cannot build an AI alone. So the ecosystem is quite important, and how can you manage and control all these different bricks of your AI. And the last one, I think that's the most interesting one, is that you will need an AI that can audit an AI. And we see that, and maybe we'll discuss that after that. For buyers, for example, you can build some AI that will audit your AI to see is this correct or not, because you cannot, as an auditor, recalculate simply from an input and validate the output. That's not possible anymore with AI. So here, I like to call that the augmented auditor by machine. So that will be not for tomorrow, but certainly in few days we will need to be a little bit augmented with machine to be able to provide trust on AI.
Thank you, Yann. Let me now turn to our technical AI expert. So Anne-Marie Kermarrec, professor at the EPFL. Could you tell us if it's possible to make a trustworthy AI? In other words, how do we go from ethical, trust, or guidelines to code?
Okay, so first of all, I think that trustworthy AI covers a wide range of topics. It goes from reliability, security, privacy, fairness, ethics, interpretability, so there's really many different areas. And as computer scientists, there are some of them where we do have a lot of technical solutions for this. If we talk about reliability, resilience to Byzantine behaviors or malicious behaviors. So I'm actually confident that technically there's a number of things we can do. It also very much depends, as Yann said, about the regulation that we have to comply to, and that provide guidance for the algorithm that we do. So I can just give you a few examples of things that you could do. In terms of, for instance, you could say that there are two main things that you can do when you are about checking how AI is robust or trustworthy. And one can be trying to check, like audit, what's going on. And there are already a number of algorithms able to do this. And as Yann said, those are usually also AI algorithms that basically try to detect if there are some biases or if there is some unfairness in the different answer to requests from given to an AI. But there is also a lot of things which is by avoiding issues. And I can just give an example. Of course, this is one thing that I'm interested in, scientifically speaking, but one way to actually make sure that your privacy, if I take this, is not compromised, is not to give away your data. And there are today some algorithms that can train locally a number of AI machine learning algorithms. And then when you do not share data, but you share only model parameters, for instance, and you can even secure those exchanges so that things are good. One thing that I would like to point out, because in this debate of trustworthy AI, there is always a little bit of a negative point. As a computer scientist, I can only be positive about AI, with, of course, care. But I think it provides great and useful tools for many different things, including our, facilitating our lives, but also the society in general, whether that's medicine, climate, whatever. So I think we need to stay positive, and they're usually technical solution. The issue is usually what should we do as computer scientists to, following the rules maybe of governments or other interlocutors that we have on this.
And the definition as well of what trustworthy means. So,
definition is kind of, at least Europe, as you mentioned, has some kind of definition of trustworthy. There is a number of things, and that includes reliability, interpretability, ethics. Well, I think you can find some definition here and there, but obviously not all of them are as easily fixable, basically.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Let me now turn to Roger Dubach. You're the representative tonight of the state. So My question to you is about the role of the state, and in particular, what is the approach of Switzerland when it comes to AI governance? And as well, what does the collaboration with the tech industry look like?
Thank you very much. I would like to start with a remark. I was quite sure that I'm the only ambassador in this room tonight, but in front of me is sitting my former boss, Ambassador Dudardale, so at least we are two from the government. So in 2019, the Swiss government produced the first report on AI. It was kind of a stock-taking exercise. We have been looking into 17 sectors to see how AI is applied and what does it mean from a regulatory perspective. And in fact, this stock-taking exercise came to the conclusion that for the time being, we have a sector-specific approach, and that's fine. There's no need at that time for a horizontal approach. And also bearing in mind that all laws apply as well to AI, because sometimes people tend to forget that we are still in the same space somehow. And principles like transparency or non-discrimination existed before AI already. And then the Swiss government adopted the second report in last year, 2022, with the title on International Rules and AI. There we have been looking more into the international debate or the international governance. We distinguish the different layers of regulation, so from legally binding instruments to soft law instruments, but also to self-binding instruments from companies, associations, and so on, and of course the standardization exercise. We organized also a conference together with the International Electrotechnical Commission on this topic. And there we clearly pointed out that it makes no sense if Switzerland goes on its own on AI regulation, because it's an international phenomenon. So we have to be engaged in the international discussions. And that's why we are quite engaged in the negotiation process at the Council of Europe. They try to negotiate the Convention on AI. Switzerland has the chair of the committee. And we are also discussing, as I said, with the International Electrotechnical Commission, as well as with the Swiss standardization body, on the interplay between standardization and regulation. And I think it's not limited to AI, but on AI, it's very important to see that it's not as before, as you regulate as the state, and standardization is completely private exercise. It's very much an interdependence. And I think there is a big role for private sector. And I mean, I would like to see more companies in this standardization bodies. We see today that it's almost only the big companies, they can afford to be part of these exercises, but it would be very important to have also startups and smaller companies, because there is a huge work on future AI regulation going on.
Thank you, Ambassador. And let me now turn to our last distinguished speaker today. So, Ilia Kolochenko, you are an international entrepreneur. You have been using and developing services with AI since a long time. From your perspective, what are your needs in terms of trustworthy AI, or what does it look like, a trustworthy AI for you?
So I'd probably say that what is important to highlight that in cybersecurity, we have been using machine learning and AI for many years. And I think for many people, AI today is a synonym of ChatGPT. And, basically speaking, ChatGPT is about generative AI. And if we look into the history, we had first forms of generative AI back into 1960s. We also had intelligent, or probably not that intelligent, chatbots many decades ago. And for example, at ImmuniWeb, we have been using generative AI before ChatGPT, not necessarily the transformers that basically speaking made larger language models possible. And you can actually check, transformers. I'd say it's a form of deep neural network was introduced by Google researchers back in 2017. You can Google, there is a great paper that is called Attention is All You Need. And basically speaking now, thanks to the computing power and to new progress in generative AI, we can interact with ChatGPT if it's a human being, okay? But in the industry, we've been using generative AI, for example, to generate payloads for exploits. We've been using many different other types of AI and machine learning, however we call it, for image recognition and all other tasks. I would also say that in terms of trustworthiness, I absolutely agree with my co-panelists that it's a very broad, inclusive, and perhaps subjective topic, because what is trustworthy for my neighbor may not necessarily be trustworthy for someone in the audience, right? Mm-hmm. So from a cybersecurity and technology viewpoint, I'd rather say that we are looking to make sure that we have consistent and predictable output. Not really talking about like bias and ethics and perhaps different questions related to politics, because let's say in the United States, if you go to California and you ask, do you believe that CNN is trustworthy, you'll probably have a higher yes compared to Texas. Same if in Texas you ask, what do you think about Fox News, you'll probably have fairly different answers compared to California or to the New York City. So for us, from a technology viewpoint, it is important to have predictable and consistent output. We don't really deal, I'd say, with ethics, okay? But foundation will probably remain the same, that we need to have well-prepared training data so we can understand, why the model hallucinates, for example, or why do we have such output that we didn't really expect. So I'd say probably for us, the outcomes may be slightly different, but the foundation of reliable or trustworthy, however we call it, data, will probably be essential.
Thank you, Ilia. Do you want to jump on this to answer some of his questions about trustworthiness and data sets? Do you have any?
Well, yeah, of course. I mean, algorithms do whatever we tell them to do, in a sense, right? And AI is basically predicting the future based on things that they learned from the past. So a very good way to make sure that it provides some predictable and reasonable output is to make sure that the data is not poison and the data is solid enough to be used for training. And that was probably overlooked a while ago. Now people are on it, and I think if you take a look at me, if you talk to ChatGPT, for instance, it kind of behaves now because there are some alignment procedures so that it goes well, and also something that is interesting, because AI is kind of a hype, and let alone LLMs right now and ChatGPT right now, but I mean the basic algorithms have been around for ages, and what made that possible is basically computer power, GPUs, and available data that are out there. So it's really something that is not that new in terms of algorithms, but of course the use cases are completely new and will keep growing over the years.
In the context of trustworthy AI, do you see any possibility for startups to create something new? Any idea for startups
Well, you know, if I have a very good idea, I'll do it myself, which I did a while ago. No, I think there is a lot of opportunity, maybe in terms of auditing or in terms of, you know, providing services to make sure that whatever people are using, you know, are good. And, well, I don't have something very specific, but I really think that given the adoption of those techniques by pretty much everybody from, as you said, from the individuals to very large company, there is probably many business opportunities around this.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. A question for you, Ambassador. We talk about a legal environment. Maybe there is also this question of how to ensure the security and the legal security for companies and businesses.
Yeah, definitely. I think from a legal perspective, the trust comes very much from legal certainty, and I think we have to bear that in mind. That now many people think that with AI we need huge new regulation, and this can also create the opposite in the sense that it gives uncertainty. And for instance, if you take now, and every government has to take a position on that, whether there's more a horizontal or sector-specific approach. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot of discussion now about the EU legislation, which is a horizontal approach. And for instance, for a business, it's important to know, okay, to which extent I'm concerned by a horizontal legislation, and where am I concerned from a sector-specific perspective. And I think there's very important to have clarity on that. And as I said before, I think it's important to underline that there are already a lot of rules, and so we have to be very careful about where's the gap and to fill the gap. And for instance, maybe there's a gap to create more trust, and I think then it's good for business as well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Roger. Jan? Any suggestion, an idea for startups and an innovation idea that you would recommend to our audience?
Yeah, I think we are working at the moment on knowledge management. I think it's certainly a very important mean or an idea. We are developing Chat PwC. Sorry for the name, not so innovative. But the idea, you know, is like many companies, we have so much knowledge, so much information inside our company, but we are using maybe 2% of this data. So if you can come with a kind of LLM, chat, whatever, you know, that is able to ingest all the information that you have in your company. Of course, for knowledge management is one side, but also to better serve clients, I think this would be certainly extremely powerful, and that's what we are developing now. For us, but certainly also for our client in the future. And I think that's also one idea to be developed.
Thank you, Jan. What about you, Ilia? Do you have any idea or suggestion for our audience in terms of using AI or developing something around trustworthy AI?
So basically speaking, I'd probably say that we have many great startups that are currently embedding or building AI-driven solution, or however we call them. So probably we have a plethora of good ideas there. But from a strategic viewpoint, I'd probably say that I think that sustainable business will be in creation of unique and valuable data, because you know, LLMs, they are trained on data and they need continually more data, unique data, high quality data. So they can create an essay, they can analyze a loss here, they can do a lot of impressive at first sight, you know, things, but in reality, just about, you know, predicting the sequence of the upcoming words. Okay, so today, AI is not intelligent as humans are, okay? It's just about predicting the next word, next phrase. It's impressive because now we have so-called attention and a capacity to analyze a text, a question, and input, in a comprehensive manner. Okay, so but what ChatGPT or any other, or I'd say representations of LLM cannot really do is to generate unique new data. So, for example, if you have any scientific data, for example, if you are gathering, I don't know, any weather forecast, this is something that AI companies will be buying because they'll be looking for new data, also new academic and scholarly research. I believe that largest AI company will be paying, data scientists to build models, but they will also be paying human beings who are capable to produce new, unique, valuable content. And I think we will soon see that journalists, scholars, scientists, they will be chased by AI companies in a good sense, asking to produce truly unique content so they can use it to train their LLMs and to eventually incorporate it in smart chatbots like ChatGPT and so on. So I think data will be the new digital gold, the new valuable and highly unique data.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ilia. Roger, you wanted to jump in?
Yeah, I just wanted to add something. From my perspective, I think it's very important to bring the humans into the process to build trust. Because sometimes if I talk to tech people, they believe that they can create the perfect technical solution, which bears trust in itself. And I think it's always something where you have to bring people into the system. Mm-hmm. So then you talk about how to create such ecosystems. Mm-hmm. And I think that's, from my perspective, it's very important.
Mm-hmm. And Marie?
Yeah, I think you said something which is very true. Like, algorithms are not smart, not as smart as humans. And somehow, to also build trust around this algorithm, you need to at least understand how to use them. And the same way that, a while ago, maybe we were impressed by some basic calculator that would do some calculation for us. Now we have to deal with this, which is another technology that indeed is quite impressive, but we have to learn how to use it in a proper way and not following it blindly and feeding it with the right requests so that it works fine. But so I guess my take here, and maybe it's because I'm a professor, but that's about education, and I think that's also very important to sort of remove this sort of magical halo that is around those technologies.
Thank you, Emma. And Marie, I think that we can close this debate on these beautiful words. Allow me to join me to thank our 4 distinguished speakers tonight. Thank you.